I was 8 months pregnant, clumsy with every step, when Daniel held my hand and guided me toward the shade of the park. Laughter from children spilled through the air. The calm should have been enough for me, for us. For a moment, I believed I had finally built a life away from shadows. And then she appeared. Evelyn Hale. My ex-mother-in-law. Her pearls glinted, her posture sharp as steel. Time stuttered. Daniel followed my gaze. He stiffened, but Evelyn didn't look at me, she went straight to him. "Mr. Carter," she said, as if greeting a stranger at court. Her eyes lingered on his face longer than necessary, a flicker of something unreadable passing through. "I have a gift for you." From her purse, she drew a small velvet box, black as midnight. Daniel hesitated, confusion tightening his jaw. He glanced at me, searching. My stomach turned heavy as stone. "It's for your wife," she added, at last shifting her gaze to my belly. A shadow of guilt slipped across her expression, so brief I wondered if I imagined it. "And for your child." The baby rolled inside me, as though responding. The world blurred with the noise of strangers passing, yet I felt suspended, caught only in her words. Daniel finally reached for the box, cautious. He opened it. Inside lay a delicate gold baby rattle wrapped beside a USB drive labeled in her careful script, "Truth." My throat went dry. Daniel's lawyer's instinct woke. I could see it in his narrowed eyes. "What is this?" he asked. "Insurance," Evelyn whispered. Her gaze flicked from the USB to Daniel, resting on him again with a strange, almost maternal intensity. "And a confession I should have made long ago." Her hand trembled as she steadied her purse. She seemed about to reach out, toward Daniel, not me, but pulled back. "It's time you knew," she said, her voice almost breaking, "before he hurts you again." The he struck like a blade. Marcus, her son, my ex-husband, the man who turned apologies into shackles. Daniel closed the box with a snap. "What kind of truth?" he pressed. Evelyn's eyes, locked on his, softened with something perilously close to regret. "The kind that costs a child," she murmured. "And a family." My pulse skittered. For a second, it felt as if she wasn't only talking about Marcus. The look she gave Daniel carried a weight I couldn't place. Familiar, almost tender. He shifted uncomfortably under it. "Meet me at Claremont Cafe," she said quickly, as though realizing she had revealed too much. 6 o'clock. Sit by the window. Come alone." Her glance swept the park, restless. "He has eyes on you already." She turned and walked away, pearls catching the light, shoulders stiff with secrets. I stared at Daniel, at the velvet box now burning in his hand. The word truth seemed to pulse like a wound. He whispered, "We're not meeting her." But I heard my own voice, steady in a way that startled me. "We are." Because something in Evelyn's look at Daniel told me the danger wasn't only about Marcus, it was about blood. And maybe, whether we wanted it or not, we were standing inside a story that began long before me. I didn't cry until we reached the car. Not loud, not wild, just the kind of tears that sting your mouth and remind you safety is a myth. Daniel squeezed my hand. His other hand clutched the velvet box, knuckles pale. "We should call the police," he said. "For what?" I whispered. "A gift? A warning?" He tapped the USB inside the box, or evidence. Back home, Daniel pulled the curtains tight and powered up his old offline laptop. The USB sat on the table like it was daring us. "Ready?" he asked. "No," I said. "Yes." Folders spilled open, audio, transfers, photos, legal. On top, one file, "Read me first." He clicked. A letter appeared. Evelyn's handwriting, precise, controlled. "Ivy, I chose silence when truth was unbearable. I excused what could not be excused. I believed the worst of you, because it was easier than believing it of my son. And then I saw a face that reminded me of something I buried long ago. I can no longer stay quiet." Daniel froze, his jaw flexed. He scrolled. Dates, amounts. A payment to a PI, monitoring stairwell. Another to a courier, lab transfer. A note scrawled at the bottom, "I lied to myself, but blood doesn't lie." Daniel's breath caught. I felt the words wedge between us. "What does that mean?" I asked. He shook his head, eyes too dark. "We'll find out." He opened transfers, wires from Marcus's company to shell accounts, labeled consulting, security. Then photos, grainy shots of me leaving doctor's visits, our apartment door enlarged like a bullseye. I shivered. At the bottom, a lab form, my maiden name, Hale. Test, non-invasive prenatal paternity. Status, cancelled. "I didn't order this," I whispered. Daniel's silence was heavy. Another folder, legal. Inside, a second lab scan, not cancelled. This one marked undetermined due to contaminated sample. Next to it, Evelyn's note. He forced a test. He believes the baby isn't yours. Daniel slammed the laptop shut. He wants to erase me. I touched his hand. No one erases who you are. But even as I said it, Evelyn's words gnawed. Blood doesn't lie. We reopened the laptop. Audio crackled. Marcus's voice slithered through. No cameras in the stairwell. Van at the service entrance. Another man, in and out. Marcus, no marks. I'm not a monster. I felt sick. Daniel exhaled hard. We take this to the police. After we meet her, I said. He stared at me. Ivy, she knows more, I said, and she looked at you like she owed you something. The baby kicked hard. I pressed my palm down. We need all of it. At 5:30 we left. Hall lights buzzed overhead. My phone lit, an unknown number. Don't meet her. She won't make it. A photo followed, our parking garage. Empty, time-stamped now. Metal clanged somewhere below. Stairs or elevator? Daniel asked. Neither, I said. We take the back door. But when we reached it, the lock didn't turn. The back door finally gave way with a screech. We slipped into the alley, air damp with garbage and twilight. Daniel guided me fast, his grip iron on my hand. Claremont Cafe gleamed at the corner like nothing bad could ever happen inside. Its windows shone, people sipping coffee as though the world wasn't burning under our feet. Evelyn was already there, tea untouched, a paper bag by her feet. Her face looked thinner, drawn by secrets. You came, she said. We sat. Daniel's hand pressed my knee under the table. You looked at him strangely today, I blurted. At the park. Her gaze cut to Daniel. For a moment, her eyes softened the way a mother's might. Then she straightened. I'll explain. Explain now, Daniel said, voice firm. She folded her hands. Because of a letter, she began. From my husband before he died. He wrote that he failed his sons. I thought he meant Marcus, but he meant both. Daniel frowned. Both? Her lips trembled once. Before Marcus, I had another child. My father forced an adoption, sealed records. I never saw him again. I felt the cafe blur around me. 2 months ago, a man came to my door, Evelyn whispered. He had my husband's mouth, my father's cufflinks. He asked for medical history, his name. She looked straight at Daniel. Is Daniel? My husband's face drained. He pushed back from the table, searching for air. I didn't know when you married her, Evelyn rushed. Not until you came for the adoption files. Not until I saw you up close. Blood recognizes blood. Her words slammed into me. The letter on the USB. Blood doesn't lie. The long stare in the park. Daniel's fists clenched. So I'm your son. Tears slipped down Evelyn's cheeks. Yes, which means Marcus is your brother. The cafe noise dulled. A bus hissed outside. Life carried on while ours stopped. And he knows? Daniel asked. Yes, Evelyn said. Marcus found out before I did. He doesn't want to lose anything. Company, mother, legacy. Not to you. Not to your child. Daniel's jaw worked. I gripped his arm, but my own hands were shaking. Evelyn slid the paper bag toward us. Daniel opened it. A burner phone. A keycard stamped Claremont Storage, an address scrawled on paper. Unit 3C, she said. Where he hides what he thinks no one will find. Go there before he does. I leaned forward. Why tell us this? Her gaze didn't waver. Because I chose Marcus too many times, I will not choose him again. At that moment, a shadow crossed the window. A man cleaning glass glanced inside too long. My skin prickled. We should leave, I said. Evelyn nodded. Don't go home, she warned. He watches. We rose. Daniel tucked the keycard away. Evelyn caught his hand. Her voice broke. Forgive me. Daniel's face was unreadable. Mine wasn't. You're asking the wrong people, I said. Outside, my phone buzzed. A new message. A photo. Evelyn on the sidewalk. A red dot glowing over her chest. I ran, which is to say I did the pregnant version, arms wrapped around the life I was carrying. Daniel shouted my name, sprinted ahead. People turned. A dog barked. The red dot in the photo burned through my brain even as the sidewalk offered me only reflections. Glass, strangers. Evelyn stood half a block away, checking her purse like she'd misplaced a receipt. There was no dot on her chest now, only the sinking sun staining everything gold. Evelyn, I called. She looked up, her eyes widened, at me or at something behind me. Daniel reached her first. He pivoted, scanning rooftops. I pressed under the awning, breath heaving. Inside, Daniel said. Now. We dragged her back into the cafe. The bell clanged. The server flinched. Daniel flashed his badge, the one that isn't a badge but reads lawyer, in a tone that makes people obey. He explained nothing, which was somehow more convincing. In the back hallway by the restrooms we regrouped. Evelyn's hands shook as she clutched the strap of her purse. Someone sent a photo, I said, of you, with a laser sight. Her face went white. He's accelerating, she whispered. Then we escalate, Daniel said. We go to the police. Evelyn shook her head. He has a captain in his pocket, she said. South Precinct. They delay. They misfile. Not all of them, but enough. Then we bring the evidence to internal affairs, Daniel countered. And the press. Her gaze snapped to his. The press will paint you as a scorned ex-wife and an ambulance chaser. Then we control the narrative, I said hoarsely. We don't hide. A door opened. The manager peered down the hall. We looked like people planning a heist or a confession. Maybe both. Storage first, Daniel decided. We get whatever's there. Then we choose our battlefield. Evelyn's composure reassembled like armor. Take the side streets, she said. He watches the arteries. We moved. Daniel called Claire on speaker, told her to go to our place, get the go bag, and then meet us at the public library. Neutral, bright, full of cameras we didn't control. Claire cursed. Said she was already in her car. Outside, night had leaned all the way in. We cut through a parking lot and slid into Daniel's car. He drove like a man balancing speed with law. Fast, but not reckless. I rested my palm on the rounded hard place my child made and counted breaths. Claremont Storage squatted like a beige secret on the edge of downtown. Fluorescents hummed. A bored attendant barely looked up. Daniel used the key card. The gate yawned. Unit 3C, he said, reading the paper Evelyn had given us. Row after row, doors like eyelids. Somewhere a radio murmured, "We found 3C." Daniel paused, listening. I felt the pressure low in my belly, the way my body had begun rehearsing. He opened the unit. Boxes labeled in tidy caps. Tax, board minutes, legal holds. One unlabeled case sat in the center like a coffee table in a bare apartment. Daniel crouched. The case had a combination lock. Taped beneath was a post-it with 4 numbers, 0719. His birthday, Evelyn had said once in a Christmas photo caption. July 19th. Daniel spun the dial. The lock popped. Inside, a laptop, 2 phones, a leather folder, and a slim black notebook. Daniel powered the laptop. It asked for a password. He set it aside, took the notebook, flipped. Dates, names, sums. Next to my name a column they'd bile rise. NIP, OB schedule, PI, stairwell cam. Stairwell, Daniel muttered. He opened the leather folder. Contracts. One with a familiar letterhead. My old employer, the boutique agency that cut me loose after Marcus whispered to the right donor that I wasn't steady. There was an NDA with my signature, dated the week I finally left Marcus. A sticky note on it. Leverage. My hands trembled. He kept a record of ruining me. Predators keep trophies, Daniel said quietly. One of the phones lit when he pressed the side button. No password. A list of texts appeared. Clipped, transactional. Drop at service entrance. Cash on arrival. A photo of our building's back gate. A calendar entry on my due date. Transfer custody. My vision tunneled. Enough, Daniel said, and snapped photos of everything. He wiped the phone with his sleeve and pocketed it. From the hallway, a boot scuffed concrete. Daniel's head jerked up. He mouthed, "Hide." There was nowhere to hide that made sense. I slid behind the unlabeled case, useless, and pressed my spine to cold metal. Keys jangling, a low cough, a whistle. A shadow broke the light at the end of the row. Daniel glanced at me, then at the open unit. He closed his hand around the leather folder. He stepped into the aisle, casual that wasn't casual at all. The shadow resolved into a man in coveralls, a cap low. He wheeled a dolly. He nodded at Daniel. Evening, Daniel said. The man's gaze slipped past him, landed on me, dragged back. You folks need help? He asked. We're good, Daniel said. The man smiled. Too many teeth. That your pregnant wife? He asked like a joke. Something in my spine said run, but my legs were logs. Daniel shifted, blocking me. Have a good night, he said. The man tilted his head, listening to something we couldn't hear. His smile lifted another notch. You too, he said. Hope the delivery goes smooth. He pushed the dolly on. The wheels squeaked. The sound took years to fade. Go, Daniel breathed. We shut the unit, slid the lock, and moved. At the gate, the attendant had vanished. The keypad stuttered before reading the card. The barrier rose inch by inch. Daniel eased the car through. I looked back once. The man in coveralls stood in the lane we'd just cleared, smiling at me. He lifted his phone. A small red light glowed. We didn't drive to the library. We drove to the hospital. Cameras, guards, nurses who take one look at a woman clutching her belly and move mountains. Triage took my blood pressure. High. A nurse named Pilar spoke to me in a voice like warm water and slipped a cuff on again. She asked about movement. I said the baby was practicing soccer. She smiled. Daniel explained we needed a safe place for an hour. Pilar didn't ask why. She tucked us into a monitoring room with a recliner and muted TV. My child's heartbeat galloped on the screen. I cried without noise. Daniel texted Claire a location. He sent screenshots to a cloud he only used for worst-case scenarios. He emailed a friend at a paper he trusted with, background only, hold for go. Then he dialed internal affairs. While he spoke, I let the beeps organize my fear. I thought of Evelyn's face when she said Daniel's name. I thought of Marcus learning a truth that didn't belong to him and turning it into a weapon. I thought of the man in coveralls, the red light, the way he said delivery like we were discussing a package. Pilar returned. Baby looks good, she said. You not so much. When was your last full night's sleep? What is sleep? I said, and she laughed the laugh that means same. Daniel finished his call, jaw tight. They'll meet us, he said, but they want a location that's not a hospital. Library? I asked. He shook his head. They said somewhere private, less contamination. I looked at Pilar. Do you have a chapel? I asked. She pointed down the hall. Always. We unhooked the monitor. Pilar hugged me like she meant it. In the hall, fluorescent light bounced off everything until it felt holy. The chapel smelled like wood polish and candle stubs. Stained glass filtered the street lights into soft color. We sat in the back. Daniel held the leather folder like a Bible. I tucked my feet under the seat to stop the shaking. The door opened. A man and a woman stepped in. Badges, not South Precinct. The woman introduced herself as Sergeant Morales, Internal Affairs. The man as Detective Chen, Organized Crime Liaison. Daniel handed over copies. He spoke in the clipped cadence that makes judges listen. He laid out the notes, the audio, the texts. Morales' eyes sharpened at transfer custody. Chen's nostrils flared at captain in his pocket. Do you have the original devices? Morales asked. Some, Daniel said, offering the phone from the unit, and a USB. Chen turned the phone over in a gloved hand. No password? Not on this one, Daniel said. The other is locked. Morales flicked through pages. We can move fast on a protective order, she said. But if he's this embedded, we'll need a judge who doesn't play golf with his board. I know one, Daniel said grimly. A chime from my own phone cracked the quiet. A new message. You like the hospital? Good cameras. Meet me at the roof. A second message, a live photo of the NICU doors. My breath stopped. The timestamp was seconds ago. Morales' hand went to her radio. We're locking this building down, she said. Chen was already moving. Stay here, he ordered, then realized who he was talking to. Actually move. Secure location, now. Daniel grabbed my elbow, gentle but urgent. We reached the door and the fire alarm screamed. Light strobed red. The chapel became a dance of shadows. Over the speaker a calm voice said, Code red, evacuate. Smoke began to creep under the door. Morales cursed into her radio. Pull footage, stairwell cams. Who pulled the alarm? Pilar appeared like a miracle, shoving a mask at me. We're moving labor and NICU first, she said. Her face was all business. You stay with me. We joined a stream of people into the stairwell. Daniel's hand never left my back. Morales and Chen bracketed us. The air smelled like hot plastic. Somewhere a baby cried, high and thin. On the second landing, the stream stopped. A man blocked the path, hands raised, eyes wide. Smoke's thicker below, he said. Take the roof. Chen's eyes narrowed. Who are you? Maintenance, he said, pointing at his badge. It was the same man from the storage facility, minus the cap. The same too-many-teeth smile didn't reach his eyes. I tasted copper. Daniel shifted, body between mine and the stranger. The man tilted his head, listening to instructions I couldn't hear. Then he smiled at me like we shared a secret. Congratulations, he said. It's a boy. My stomach dropped. I hadn't told anyone that. Chen drew his weapon. Morales squared beside him, voice steady. Hands where we can see them. The man lifted his palms, lazy as if surrender were a stretch. Behind us, a nurse pushed a bassinet, eyes huge. My body overruled my brain. I moved to make space. The man's gaze followed my hands, then dropped to my belly, then rose to Daniel's face. Calculation flickered. Everyone goes up, he said, nodding toward the roof. Fire on 4. He grinned. Hot. Chen didn't blink. Name. The man smiled like a dealer turning a card. Rory, he said. Short for wrong place, wrong time. Cute, Morales said. Turn around, Rory. He did, hands still up. His shirt rode just enough to show a line of ink at his waist. Not gang. Military. The way he placed his feet said training. Cuffs, Morales said. She stepped forward. A strobe of red light flashed in my peripheral, the alarm or something else. Rory pivoted an inch. Enough. He slammed his shoulder back into Morales, a dancer's move. Chen moved faster, but Rory was already down the stairs, slicing through smoke like he knew its currents. Back! Chen barked. He and Morales gave chase. The stairwell filled with people again, pressing upward. An orderly steadied my elbow. Daniel's mouth brushed my ear. We're getting out, he said. We're okay. I nodded because no other option existed. On the roof, the city opened like a low, glittering sea. Helicopter blades chopped air, local news called by the alarm or something uglier. Nurses clustered, counting heads. Babies cried. Sirens wailed below. Morales reappeared, breath ragged. Grime streaked along her cheek. He's gone, she said, but we pulled the alarm logs. He had an access card. From where? Daniel asked. Someone inside, she said darkly. A security officer approached, walkie crackling. We've got smoke in the basement and stairwell 4. No active fire. It's a canister. CS gas. Riot gas, Morales said. Panic maker. I sank onto a low wall and tried to slow my breathing. The baby rolled, protesting the chaos. Pilar knelt. You okay? She asked. I will be, I lied. Daniel checked his watch. His lawyer face was gone. In its place was something older, harder. Change of plan, he said to Morales. We can't wait for their next move. We go public now. With the family piece, with the storage unit, with the audio. Morales grimaced. You'll paint targets on your backs. They're already there, I said. I thought of the red light on Evelyn's chest, of the 2 still attendant at the storage facility, of the phone that knew the NICU doors. Morales looked between us, then nodded once. We'll prepare a statement, she said, and we'll request emergency protection. I'll have an officer posted with you until this is done. Daniel shook his head. Not just posted, he said. Embedded. We go to a place he thinks we wouldn't dare. His board gala is tomorrow night. The Hale Foundation gala? Morales asked, eyebrows up. The one with a guest list and cameras for days? Exactly, Daniel said. You want clean video of a man who thinks he's untouchable? You want a judge who can't ignore a city watching? I stared at him. You want to confront him there. I want to end this where his power is loudest, he said, and where our proof can drown him. Pilar squeezed my hand. If you're going to war, she said, eat first. She shoved a protein bar at me like a benediction. My phone buzzed. Claire, at your place, bag secured. 2 unmarked cars across the street. Friend or foe? Stay out, I typed. Meet us at my sister's friend's salon on 12th. Back room. Now. Claire sent a thumbs up that somehow looked feral. Morales assigned 2 officers to us, one named Tate, one Gwen. They were young and trying to look like they weren't scared. I loved them for it. We threaded back through the building once the air cleared. The NICU doors gleamed innocent and terrible. I wanted to press my face to the glass and swear to my son I'd make it safe. Outside, night had layered itself. We slid into an unmarked IA sedan. Tate drove. Nguyen watched the mirrors. Daniel texted Evelyn, we have it. Keep moving, don't go home. No bubbles. No reply. Do you think she? I began. My phone chimed. A video message. Evelyn in a dark car. If you get this, she said, voice low, it means I'm not where I planned to be. Don't come for me, come for him. The screen went black. Then in the reflection, for a single frame, I saw a face I knew like a burn. Marcus, smiling. He lifted a finger to his lips. Shh. The salon on 12th was closed, but Claire's friend Danny kept a key and a soft heart for lost causes. She ushered us through the dark front and into the back room that smelled like hairspray and eucalyptus. Mirrors multiplied my face until I didn't recognize it. Pale, determined, cracked down the middle. Claire barreled into me and then recoiled, hands fluttering at my belly. Are you okay? Is the baby okay? Do I punch someone now or later? Later, I said. At the gala. Her eyes lit like sparklers. Oh, we're doing theater. Danny locked the door. Nobody knows my place but cops and cousins, she said. And exes who owe me money. Nguyen posted by the back exit. Tate made a nest of wires on the counter, piecing together a quick press for the audio files. Morales set up a secure line with a trusted reporter. Chen arrived with a small black bag that looked like it should contain jewels but held microphones instead. We're going to wire you, he said to Daniel. And if you'll let us, you too, he said to me. Me? I asked, palm on my belly. You've always been the truth teller, he said. Let him hang himself. I thought of my son's heartbeat, of the way Marcus weaponized my voice against me in therapy, twisting each confession into a blade. I nodded anyway. Danny fussed over me like a mother bird, draping a shawl that hid the wire without heating me into faintness. Claire braided my hair, quick fingers steady, mouth set. She slid a small pin into the braid, a matte camera. Smile if you get scared, she whispered. It looks better on TV. Daniel stood in a corner with Morales, rehearsing the beats of a conversation he couldn't control. He looked up at me, and something passed between us. Fear, love, a vow we hadn't said out loud yet. We will not let him define our child's first story. My phone vibrated on the counter. Another message. A photo of a hospital bracelet with my name. The caption, belongs to me. Anger cut a clean line through my fear. He thinks he can brand us, I said, like property. Then carve back, Claire said, eyes bright. Tate clicked a file. The audio of Marcus planning the van at the service entrance filled the small room like smoke. Danny flinched. That's the voice of a man who tips badly, she said. Morales's phone pinged. She read, then met my eyes. We got a warrant, she said, for his devices and the storage unit, and we have a judge on standby for an emergency removal if he tries anything with custody. Emergency removal, I echoed. Of my baby from me? Of him from any control, she said gently. You and Daniel will be on every protective list we can print. I breathed. The baby shifted like he was finding a new room in the house of me. Chen spread gala intel on the counter. Floor plan, seating chart, security map. Cameras here, 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 he said, tapping. He likes to sweep the stage left entrance with private security. House PA patched to a control booth his guy runs. So we patch him, Claire said, wicked. We make his mic your mic. Exactly, Chen said, smiling for the first time. We planned. We built a maze out of angles and contingencies. When the room quieted, Danny pressed cold water into my hand. You've got this, she said. I nodded. He's always counted on me to be quiet, I said. He doesn't know how loud I can be. We were gathering our things when the front bell chimed. We froze. Danny's eyes went wide. I didn't buzz anyone, she whispered. Tate signaled. Nguyen drew his weapon. Morales mouthed, back. The bell chimed again. A slip of white slid under the door like a tongue. Claire crawled forward and snagged it. A printed photo. Our wedding day. Me and Daniel. Confetti frozen midair. Across my face, in red marker, return to sender. Underneath, a single line of typed text. Tomorrow, I take back what was mine first. For a heartbeat, I didn't understand. Then I did, and the room seemed to tilt. He didn't just mean me. He meant Daniel. Morning scraped in gray. I woke on Danny's couch to the whir of a box fan and the ache behind my eyes that meant I dreamed myself into a corner all night. Daniel sat on the floor, back against the couch, laptop on his knees, typing a document titled simply, Statement. He read me lines while I sipped tepid tea. We will not be silent, he said. We trust the law, but we're prepared for light. He paused. Too dramatic? Perfect, I said. I want them to feel it in their molars. Morales checked in with updates. The warrant executed at the storage unit yielded more devices, including a laptop with a folder named Legat, Latin for envoy, that Chen said was code for payoffs. The captain at South Precinct had suddenly taken vacation. Reporters had started sniffing. Evelyn still hadn't answered. At noon, my OB called from her personal phone. I saw the alert on your chart, she said. You're under a unique cloud, you need to avoid distress. She laughed at herself. As if that's possible. Come in, early, and I'll check you before your charity event. You saw the alert? I asked. Your care is flagged, she said. For all the right reasons, you're not alone. I cried, then laughed at the crying. She told me to drink water like it was a job. Afternoon dressed itself in sequins. Danny worked magic on my face. Nothing heavy, just enough to tell the camera I was awake. Claire zipped me into a dress that forgave my belly and sharpened my spine. Daniel put on a tux he'd worn exactly once at our wedding. He looked like a man ready to stand between fire and everything he loved. At the gala entrance, cameras popped like summer thunder. Banners bragged about scholarships and initiatives. Donors shimmered. On the stage screen, Hale Foundation, a legacy of leadership. Chen and Morales melted into the staff. Tate and Nguyen took their places by the rear doors. Marcus arrived to applause he'd purchased. He wore midnight blue and a smile that knew where every lens was. He stepped onto the stage to welcome donors, his voice smooth as cream. I felt the wire against my ribs. The baby kicked once, a drum beat. Marcus talked about community. He talked about safety. He talked about family. His mouth moved around those words like he owned them. Daniel squeezed my hand. On my mark, he whispered. Chen nodded at the booth. A tech looked up, startled, then suddenly very cooperative. Daniel stepped into the aisle. People turned. A murmur spread, a wave. Marcus saw us. For a fraction of a second, his mask slipped. Then it was back, brighter. Ladies and gentlemen, he boomed, tonight is about generosity. Let's start with truth, Daniel said, voice carrying without a mic because the room wanted a story and would give itself to any that promised blood. Marcus laughed. Ah, the ex-wife and her new counselor. Welcome. I'm her husband, Daniel said, and your brother. The room inhaled as one organism. Marcus's smile did not move, but the muscles around his eyes tightened. That's an ugly rumor, he said lightly. Evelyn stepped from the side curtain like a ghost becoming flesh. A collective gasp lifted the ceiling. She held a microphone that wasn't his. It isn't a rumor, she said. Her voice shook once and then cleared. It's my sin. Cameras pivoted. The screen behind Marcus went black, then bloomed with a photo of a young Evelyn holding a blanket-wrapped bundle, face wet with tears. The caption, 1979, sealed. Marcus turned to the booth, fury like heat lightning. The tech pretended to adjust a cable and hit play. Audio filled the hall. Marcus's voice. Van at the service entrance. In and out. Laughter that wasn't laughter. Gasps. A woman dropped her glass. It shattered like punctuation. Marcus raised his hands, a conductor calming chaos. Deep fakes, he said. Ladies and gentlemen, you know the world we live in. Chen moved to the aisle, badge out. We have warrants, he said, and devices. We have your payments, your PI, your plan. Evelyn's face crumpled and then smoothed. Son, she said, and the word broke me. Enough. Marcus looked at her the way a tide looks at a sandcastle. He stepped forward into her light. Mother, he said, the syllables an icicle. You never could hold water. He reached into his jacket, bodies tensed. Daniel moved, Tate moved, Nguyen moved. My breath stopped halfway between inhale and prayer. Marcus pulled out not a gun but a remote. His thumb hovered. Cut the feed, he said to the booth, smiling. We're done here. The screen flickered, then steadied, because Chen had already switched the room to a different source. My voice. I'm not a rumor, my recorded voice said, from a conversation with my therapist a year ago that I hadn't known he recorded. I'm a witness. The room went silent in the way of theaters waiting for the second act rise. And Marcus, for the first time, looked afraid. The recording rolled, not my pain pornographed, but my clarity. The session where I spoke about patterns. The day I said, apologies without repair are manipulation. The moment I realized I had been trained to shrink so somebody else could fit in every room like a god. Faces in the crowd shifted, the women first, then the men who loved those women. Evelyn's hand went to her pearls as if they might anchor her to a life less cruel. Marcus tried to laugh. The sound cracked. Out of context, he said. Therapy is sacred. She's exploiting. Chen held up a consent form with Marcus's signature, authorizing all recordings in that therapist's office. You exploited, Chen said evenly. We're done pretending. Morales stepped to the mic. Law enforcement is executing warrants now, she said. Mr. Hale, you're under investigation for conspiracy to kidnap, witness tampering, and obstruction. The room hiccuped. Donors looked at the exits, their money calculating new addresses. Daniel took my hand and led me to the stage. My knees felt like paper and fire. The baby pressed up as if to see. I faced Marcus. He was a tall boy in a suit that had always fit too well. You don't get to narrate me anymore, I said. You don't get to put words in my mouth or fear in my bones. Not about my marriage. Not about my child. He tilted his head, the old trick that once made me doubt myself. You're fragile, he said softly, for me alone. You always were. I'm pregnant, I said. That's not fragile, that's ferocious. The room murmured, even the chandeliers listened. Marcus smiled for the cameras again. Ladies and gentlemen, he boomed, my family is performing. Please enjoy the drama and direct your donations to the real work happening off stage. The screen behind him changed again, as if obeying. A spreadsheet appeared. Names, amounts, transfers to a shell account. A column labeled, Captain. Chen didn't look at Marcus. He looked at the captain stepping through the door with 2 officers and a too calm face. Evening, Captain, Chen said. Fancy seeing you here. The captain opened his mouth to make a speech that would fit on a plaque. Morales cut him off with a warrant. Cameras drank it in. Arrests will be made after this event, Morales said to the room, sweetness sharpened into steel. For now, enjoy your shrimp. Laughter bubbled, nervous and loyal to power. Marcus's jaw ticked. He made the smallest move then, a step toward me that looked like nothing but wasn't. Daniel stepped between us, not a wall, but a door that only opened the right way. We're leaving, Daniel said. With our family. Your family, Marcus said, smiling as if they were sharing a toast, was mine first. Daniel didn't blink. Not anymore. He took my elbow, we moved. Gwen and Tate bracketed us. The crowd flowed like startled fish. At the aisle's end, someone stuck out a foot. I stumbled. A hand caught my elbow. Evelyn. Go, she said, voice steady. I'll hold the room. Come with us, I said. I will, she said, after I tell the truth that belongs to me. Her eyes were ancient and new. We reached the side door. Outside air, a cluster of photographers, a shout, a surge of bodies. Nguyen cut a path. Tate waved a car. The door behind us banged open. Rory, cap back on, smile wider like a man relieved to find his mark. He moved fast. A straight line to me. Daniel moved faster. Bodies collided. The world compressed to breath and bone, and the understanding that some endings ask for blood. Rory's hand snaked toward my belly, no, toward the mic. His fingers closed around the wire, ripping. Feedback shrieked. For a second, everything was sound. Then the sound cut, and with it, the pretense. Rory grabbed for my wrist. I hit him with the only weapon I had, the hard, honest weight of my body. I pivoted like the self-defense class taught, hips not arms. He lost balance. Daniel drove into him, pinning him. Nguyen was there, cuffing, Miranda a prayer. In the camera flashes, I saw Marcus at the door, watching. I lifted my chin. He lifted 2 fingers in a casual salute that meant you won this one and games continue. He turned away. Inside, a roar rose. Evelyn's voice amplified. I paid to hide, she said, every word a rung on a ladder. I pay now to reveal. The crowd surged back to the story. The night held its breath. I pressed my hand to my son and felt him push back. We're almost done, I whispered. But endings are messy, and some truths bite last. The statement Evelyn made cracked something in the city. You could feel it the next morning, in the way strangers met your eyes in coffee lines. She spoke for 20 minutes without notes. She named the adoption, she named the hush money. She named the son she kept, and the son she lost, and the woman she refused to lose again. By noon, the video had been clipped, subtitled, debated, devoured. By 2, the captain was in custody. By 4, Internal Affairs had walked 3 more officers out of South Precinct, heads down. By 6, a judge signed an order that used words like clear and present, and emergency restraint. Marcus released a statement at sunset, crafted by a publicist who had never met a mirror he didn't love. It said malicious fabrication and family tragedy, and we pray for healing. At 8, Morales showed up at our door with a warrant in her hand and a tired smile. We got his house, she said. We got his office. And we got his cloud. In the hall, the remote from the gala. A second set of recordings he'd kept as trophies. A ledger that matched the one in storage, annotated with check marks next to names like mine. At 9, a quiet knock. Evelyn. No pearls. A plain sweater. A face that had decided to stop pretending. May I see my son? She asked. Daniel let her in. They sat at our small table like people tasting a language they were born into and denied. They spoke haltingly at first, then more. They did not forgive the past. They named it and let it sit between them like a third chair. I made tea because my hands needed work. Claire arrived with soup like a superstition. We set places we didn't need and cleaned spoons we wouldn't use. The apartment held us like a palm. Close to midnight, the phone rang. Morales again. We have him, she said simply. They'd pulled Marcus over 3 blocks from the airport, alone in a car that smelled like expensive leather and fear. He went quietly, TV ready. At the station, he requested his lawyer. He requested a mirror. He requested a call. He requested a different universe. Bail was set high and denied twice. The charges stacked like bricks: conspiracy, attempted kidnapping, witness intimidation, illegal surveillance, bribery. The morning after, the sun came up like it always does, rude and reliable. I brewed coffee and stood by the window and felt my son roll against my palms. Daniel wrapped his arms around me from behind, cheek to my temple. We did it, he said into my hair. We started it, I corrected. Now we finish living. 3 weeks later, in a room that smelled like lemon and new breath, I brought our son into the world. I screamed. I cried. I laughed. Daniel cried and pretended he didn't. Evelyn waited in the hall until we called her in. She washed her hands for the exact amount of time the nurse said and then longer. She held him like a story she'd finally read to the end. We named him August because he arrived in a month that felt like a door, and because his weight in my arms felt like reverence for everything we'd survived. At the sentencing months after, I wore the same dress I'd worn to the gala. My body had changed again, softer, stronger. Evelyn sat beside Daniel. Claire smuggled snacks like we were teenagers. Morales and Chen nodded from a row behind us. Rory pled out. The captain pled out. Marcus did not. He believed in his own absolution until the gavel met wood and said otherwise. The judge spoke about power misused, about the way the law fails when money builds mazes, about the people who refuse to be lost in those mazes. He looked at me when he said that last part. I looked at my son sleeping like a secret in his carrier. Marcus turned in his chair and tried one last look. It was the look that had once convinced me I owed him my silence. It slid off me like rain off clean glass. Outside the courthouse, air, reporters, flashbulbs. A woman I didn't know touched my arm. I left too, she said, because I watched you leave. I squeezed her hand. It's not leaving, I said. It's arriving. We went home. We fed August and ourselves. We took turns showering and not sleeping. Daniel lay on the floor and made faces that made our son threaten a smile his mouth wasn't old enough to keep. That night I stood by the window again. The city breathed. A siren somewhere sang itself smaller. In the glass, my reflection held a child and a life, and the shape of a future not parceled out by someone else's hunger. I thought of the park, the velvet box, the gold rattle that chimed once and warned me of a storm. It sat now on a shelf by August's crib. It rang when the heater kicked on, a thin, sweet sound like a line cast toward tomorrow. I kissed my son's forehead and whispered a promise that was not about revenge or fear or the past. We're safe, I said. We're ours. And when the night pressed against the window, it met a family and stepped back.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.